Shadows of Evil, one of the most iconic and controversial maps in the Call of Duty Black Ops 3 mode. Released back in 2015, it had everything: mystery, intrigue, and a wild story that raised more questions than answers. We'd been introduced to Primus back in Origins on Black Ops 2, but 3 years later, we get reintroduced to Primus only in the final cutscene. So the story was getting a bit confusing. We had the summoning key. Just a lot of things didn't get explained until later on. However, we're going to be asking a much bigger question today than just where was the story going on launch of Black Ops 3. We're going to be asking just how well Shadows aged. We all know it aged well. It still gets played in 2025 and it's 10 years later. So let's not pretend that this map is anything but a masterpiece. But honestly, it might be one of the most improved maps in community rating ever. So let's find out whether Shadows still holds up, or whether Shadows is dropping down to an average in the current community. So let's rewind and talk a bit about what made Shadows so unique when it first dropped. For starters, the map took a massive turn from the usual war, factory, exploded buildings. That was the normal Zombies film. It was a battlefield. It was a building that was used for military research. Shadows of Evil is set in a post-prohibition, roaring 20s, 30s, Chicago-like city called Morgue City. And if you picture neon lights, old school detective vibes, dark alleys filled with random wanted posters, that is what Shadows is. And then zombify it. It is such a change in atmosphere that it also made the player base a bit unsure of where Zombie was going. So, don't get me wrong, Shadows is an incredible map for atmosphere. However, take yourself back to 2015 when you first played this map, and you will see what made players skeptical about Shadows, just from the opening cutscene. And then there's characters. Instead of a group of soldiers, a group of marines, even a group of actors or hardened criminals, you get deep storyline with people who have committed terrible crimes in order to better themselves. Selfish crimes. These are not hardened criminals that will do anything to get on top like we saw in Mob of the Dead. These aren't soldiers who are trained to do a job and have been sent into a war zone that's been filled with zombies. These are people who have sinned and made it, and they've sort of had their fate brought upon them by the Shadow Man, who is a god in this universe. So their four personalities are really different, but they are all linked by committing the act of murder in order to better themselves. Nero, the magician, his wife had gotten him into a large sum of debt, and that led to him updating their life insurance policy and killing her in a training accident because his career had gone down. Jessica had some inappropriate pictures right on the edge of her becoming a big star in a movie, and they couldn't be published, so she killed her boyfriend, who was also a newspaper reporter, Jack Vincent. He was taking bribes and the mayor was sniffing around. He didn't want the mayor to fire him or put him in a worse position. Floyd, the boxer, had him trained for 18 months, and then 2 weeks in, or 2 weeks before another fight was supposed to happen, the other fighter pulled out, so Floyd had to go in there. And he wanted a shot at the title, so what did he do? Put brass knuckles under his gloves and killed a man in the ring. All of these are to better themselves, and the Shadow Man punished them for it. It's a huge step in narrative depth. In Origins, we saw a lot of deep conversations, but all still about war or how amazing these robots are, or Element 115. Never about the personals of a character. You know, all of the Ultimus storyline, they are funny characters. They are not deep characters. They don't become deep characters until Classified. And even then, it's a bit maybe. So we've gone through the atmosphere of the map, and we've gone through the characters. Now let's remember that this is a brand new game for Shadows of Evil. We have never seen a Black Ops 3 map before Shadows of Evil, and the gameplay mechanics are incredible. The map plays like a mix between Origins and Mob of the Dead. You have Beast Mode, which allows you to do selective power as opposed to a one power switch, and then Pack-a-Punch, you get it like Origins with generator steps. And then, well, they're essentially lockdown steps, but generator steps are also the same comparison. And the fact that they got the two fan favourites that were complex enough to allow the player base to continue getting better, and they combined them in a totally different atmosphere and setting. Oh, beautiful. That is how Treyarch should do maps. And they did it perfectly. And then we saw the most overpowered wonder weapon of all time in the Apothicon Servant. Like, the only drawback in it is ammo. However, with the introduction of Gobblegum, you now have infinite ammo, whether that come in the form of max ammos, I'm feeling luckies, alchemical, secret shopper, but that doesn't work on wonder weapons, unfortunately. Like, there are a lot of different ways to get ammo for this gun. You don't have to wait for a dog round, and that makes this wonder weapon so overpowered, but it's so fun. It's one of the only aspects of Shadows that is pure fun. There's not really a lot of thinking that goes into it. All of the parts are pretty gameplay based. It's the same as getting the ice staff. You have to dig one place, you get one kill with a Magua, and then you get a kill on a parasite and you get lucky. Like, there isn't a lot of, thinking that goes into getting the Apothicon Servant, and you can't even upgrade it. So it's not like upgrading a staff where it's hard. It's not like upgrading a bow where it's hard. The Apothicon Servant's easy, and it's infinite damage. It's brilliant. So I mentioned Gobblegum. Gobblegum, everyone knows what Gobblegum is, and they can make the game a bit overpowered. I really like playing with them. I think they are, in this game, the best system for it. 3 spins per round, total RNG after the first 5 spins. Like, I can't see a better system for it, because if you only got 1 spin per round, that would almost be underpowered. And I think the free Gobblegum at the beginning of the round just helps so much with, especially being the player that I am with speedrunning. It's just a really big help. So, to start off with, we have a Shadows of Evil and a brand new game that has changed the way that Zombies feels with its atmosphere, changed the way that Zombies plays with its mechanics, and changed the way that Zombies gets interacted with characters. So everything's changed, but the only thing that stayed the same is things like points, perks, etc. Obviously, Widows got added, but Widows is sort of an add-on to Jug, is the way that I see it, and it essentially gives you the round 15 Black Ops 2 effect optional. So we've talked about the past and how the game was on launch, or at least how the current community sees the game on launch. But now let's see how the current community sees the game now with Shadows of Evil. We've had 10 years to think about how Shadows fits in, and oh my word, does it fit in. I don't think people give Shadows enough credit for aging as well as it did. I mean, to be honest, on launch, I would say that Shadows was only played more because it was the free map. If the Giant was also launched with it, the Giant would have been played so much more because Doris is so much more simple. However, Shadows, being the free map, was played more, meaning more people disliked it, and they were louder than the people that liked it, because the people that disliked it so much that they almost left Zombies, because it was so difficult to understand. If you cast your mind back to the first game of Shadows you ever played, even if you know how to play Zombies and you can sort of figure out what things do, the map doesn't flow well unless you know it. Pack-a-Punch is weird unless you know it. Beast Mode is terrible unless you know it. It's not quite like Afterlife where things are obvious. It gives you prompts, but it doesn't give you prompts as to what things are. So that is sort of something that is quite annoying with Shadows, but if you've got friends who know it and you play Shadows with them, you'll pick it up in 5 games. It's simple enough if it's known. So Shadows, to me, is about where it should be with complexity in the map. Origins is so complex if you want to get expert at it. Shadows, quite easy. So essentially, Shadows had so much going for an innovation that it almost detracted from the value of the map on launch. But as time has passed, it has aged so well. However, some of the innovation feels dated. It is so difficult on launch, which is something that we've already discussed. Like, launch was so hard for Shadows. The first 3 months of Shadows were so hard. People would rather play DE than Shadows because DE was simple. To get a wonder weapon, all you had to do was fill 3 dogs. They were dragons, but we'd seen the dog step before. It's mob. So, yeah. Shadows has aged very well, but some aspects haven't. It is a very hard map. If you get caught out by the Margwa in the wrong place, if you just leave that second ritual and you forget that the Margwa is going to be teleporting towards you and you get slammed, that's your game over if you don't have Jug. So it is an insanely hard map until you get the hang of it. So, map layout is something that's so key with all Black Ops 3 maps. There's a reason why Zet wasn't enjoyed, and it's because the map layout wasn't great. Everything sort of looks the same on Zetsubo, so you can't really tell where you are at a moment's notice. Gorod, I don't personally like Gorod. I feel like it's too cramped and everything looks just like a broken city instead of there being key locations like on Origins or on DE or on Shadows. But Shadows also has the same feeling but less. It has sort of the in-between of Origins, where it's very clear you're in spawn, you're in mid, you're in church, and Gorod, where you're in the middle of a broken city and you have no idea where you are. That's what Shadows feels like. It feels like the in-between of that, because yes, you can tell where you are, but just due to like the brightness and the gamma of the map, like it can be quite confusing, especially on launch. Like, I know this map, that's why in the video you see me, I'm not doing it rapid because I don't speedrun the map, but I'm doing it quite quickly because I know how to get around. And it is a complex layout, it is a very complex layout, but they've managed to weave it together very well with the teleporters. The tram is an amazing fast travel. It's one of the only fast travels that's actually useful in all of Zombies. So these features all help with the map layout, and yeah, it's so easy to get trapped in corners on Shadows' layout, especially in Footlight where there's all of those cars and you don't know which one's a dead end. So you just have to learn the map. And once again, that's what detracted people away from playing Shadows, because you just had to, there was no leeway where you could buy the MP40 off the wall and train in the spawn room until you figured out how to play. So that kind of sucked. Another problem with Shadows is that Black Ops 3 still gets downloaded to this day. Black Ops 1 and Black Ops 2 are played far less. I mean, obviously Plutonium helps, same with World at War. But Plutonium helps with drawing new players in, but the players who are downloading Plutonium know how to play Zombies. Whereas Black Ops 3 is still downloaded by a lot of new players. Nowhere near as much as on launch, obviously. But for a 10-year-old game, it gets so many new players. I bought this game 6 years ago, so 2019, and it was getting so many new players then, it was getting so many new players sort of 2021, 22, because of Tim Hansen, and it still gets new players today. So most of those people either won't have played Zombies, or will have only played a couple games of Transit, or Black Ops 6, or whatever. They will have only played a few games, because it's very unlikely that you get into the Zombies community without having Black Ops 3. So because of those new players and trying to sort of learn maps and learn how to play Zombies a bit better, they struggle with the fact that it's not just a zombie killing simulator. It's rituals, pack-a-punch is complex if you're new, perk system is very complex if you're new, powering on the individual perks and trying to find them, and the fact that they're randomized. Like, just beast mode in general makes it so complex for the new players, which once again is the problem on launch. But because it's aged so well and the question has been answered, so to be honest, the rest of the video It's sort of just analysing just how well it's aged, because it's aged to perfection. So the beast mode mechanic detracts new players, but if you're willing to put in the effort to learn it, it is one of the best maps of all time. So obviously earlier on in the video, right the way back, like sort of 3-4 minutes in, I talked about the atmosphere of Morgue City, how it was a 1930s or 40s Chicago. It actually takes place the same time as Mob does, and Morgue City is beautiful. It's such a change up from the classic Zombies atmosphere, and it's an amazing thing. However, that's not the only thing that defines the atmosphere. The fact that there are little skips you can do to get your points back, there's free gobble gum, there's a lot of stuff you can do on Shadows. The Civil Protector is something that I haven't even mentioned, but it feels like a futuristic world, or how the people in World War I would have seen the world 20 years from now. Like how we view the world now. In 20 years we will have, self-driving cars. That's probably going to happen, but, back in 1918, at the end of World War I, anything felt possible. It feels like that. It just feels like it's so futuristic, but they haven't quite caught up on the technology. And that is just one of the things that defines the atmosphere. Just the whole feeling of futuristic, especially because it's on Black Ops 3 with futuristic weapons. And then the soundtrack. Possibly the best soundtrack in Call of Duty Zombies ever. Zombies has so often gravitated towards metal, and the Smith Plays said this in his analysis of Shadows a few years ago. When Zombies gravitates towards metal because it's such an aggressive game mode, it makes sense. On Origins, you have Shepherd of Fire by Avenged Sevenfold. You have 115, Beauty of Annihilation. Like, they are amazing metal songs. I wouldn't be surprised if a band like Lorna Shore, or something like that, Baby Metal, ended up doing a Zombies soundtrack at some point. Just some insanely heavy stuff. However, the jazz soundtrack makes this map so much better. Snakeskin Boots, amazing. The perk jingles being changed to jazz themes instead of country or pop or rock or whatever it is. The fact that they are purely jazz just makes the whole map feel that much more atmospheric in the way that it should do. Same with the perk icons. The perk icons have changed. Everything about the map changes to be a bit more weathered, to go back in time and not be so polished in a sunny battlefield like Origins is, or in a beautiful castle in Austria or whatever. It feels as if you are in a well-populated, hellish version of Morgue City. That is the goal of the map, and it really feels like that. So the atmosphere has made this game age so much better than it would have done without the atmosphere. If you take the atmosphere out of it, I don't think that Shadows would have anywhere near the amount of players, because of the amount of people the new players who download Black Ops 3 normally download Chronicles as well. So they are playing Origins, Kino, Ascension, a lot of Nukt is played. Like, they're playing those types of maps. They're not really playing the Black Ops 3 originals, and that's fine. That's cool. I don't mind that. But Shadows is still played by 21% of players on Steam right now, whereas Origins has 24. So Origins and Kino are getting slightly more players than Shadows, and that's only because Shadows is complex, and like, that's just proof. Let's not forget that Shadows is a very complex map, and to new players who aren't like me, players who aren't like the majority of you watching this video, Shadows is complex. I think that Shadows has aged so well. It's replayable. The Easter egg is phenomenal. Genuinely, because the Easter egg is so highly mirrored to just what you would do in a game to get fully set up, it's perfect. If I wasn't running Fear in Headlights, and I decided to change from doing the Easter egg anyway. I know that I've downed a few times by this point, I think. I don't know, I'm recording this after I've played the game. But if I wasn't running Fear in Headlights in the gameplay, how would you know what I was trying to do, or what was in my head at the beginning of the run? If I was just running regular Gobblegums, say I was running fucking Shopping Free instead, you wouldn't know if I was running the Easter egg or gameplay until I hit the Chronorium for the flag step. Like, it's that late because you get the Apothicon Sword to set up, you upgrade the Apothicon Sword to set up, you skip through rounds, you end up on round 16-ish to start the Easter egg, if you're doing it in the way that I did. So, just that level of perfection with setting up. It's not like Origins, because on Origins, if you're playing solo and you are not going for the Easter egg, you are never, ever going to do more than 2 staffs. You might do the Wind Staff and the Ice Staff just because it's there. You'll pick up the parts other than Lightning, because most of them are on the way and they don't really get out of your way. But Wind and Ice are normally your builded staffs if you're not doing the Easter egg. You have to go out of your way to build at least 2 extra staffs, probably 3 if you're a casual, just to do the Origins Easter egg solo. On Shadows, all you have to do is set up and then spend an extra 5 minutes doing Easter egg steps, and then you've done the Easter egg. And you don't even end the game after the Easter egg, which is such a perfect thing with a lot of Black Ops 3 maps. The game doesn't end when you finish the Easter egg. The game continues, so you can do the Easter egg, and then you can just go for a high round, or whatever you want to do. That's how I got my highest round on Horizon Drac. I did the Easter egg, and I thought, do you know what, I'm going to carry on. And I got to around like 68 or something. So, just the fact that it's that replayable, and the Easter egg is that replayable, and no matter what you're doing, if you're going in expecting high rounds and you want to upgrade the sword, you can. And then if you want, you just finish the Easter egg on round 100, and then you've got around 100 Easter egg. Like, just that is that simple. And it's really satisfying to complete the Easter egg, especially if you're on a 4-player run, like when you actually get the cutscene. It's so insanely satisfying, because it's also quite hard to find the game on Steam at least. I imagine it'll be quite hard on console as well. But like, it's so hard to find a game with 4 people who can play at the same time and who know the steps, that it's almost the most satisfying Easter egg to complete, because you have to have 4 players for it. And looking at it now, the map has the same, if not more, appeal in 2025 than it did in 2015. Because nowadays, I spoke about this in my Black Ops 4 and my main review of all of COD Zombies. Zombies has gone down in popularity so much that we're basically only left with the core community and then the multiplayer guys who want to break, and they play Black Ops 6 Zombies. But because the core community, a majority don't like Black Ops 6. I've had a few comments that say, play Black Ops 6, you know, etc, 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 like, that they really enjoy Black Ops 6, and that's fine. I'm not dissing people who enjoy Black Ops 6 at all, or Black Ops 5, or whatever. I love Black Ops 4, I love Cold War. Black Ops 6 I haven't played, but honestly, like, enjoy the games you want to enjoy. I'm not here to hate, but because of the way that Zombies has gone in the direction since Black Ops 4, Black Ops 3 is still one of the most, if not the most played Zombies game. And honestly, it still holds up against all of the custom maps that are made, and there are professional custom maps that are made as well as the casual ones. All of the Black Ops 4 maps, Black Ops 5, or Cold War, and the Black Ops 6 maps, Shadows, at the very least, like, even if you hate Shadows, you cannot say that it doesn't at least equal those maps. D Machine, very casual, but very good. 5AC, similar story. 9, very casual until you want the Easter egg. Blood, insanely hardcore. Like, these maps all vary in their difficulty, in their Easter eggs, in their feel, in their atmosphere, but Shadows at the very least equals every single map released since Shadows. Like, maybe Horizon Drac edges it out ever so slightly, but since Shadows released, there has not been a single map to release that outshines it totally. So yes, Shadows has aged incredibly well, because if you had asked any player who's played Shadows of Evil and they've also played every other map, they would probably say that they hate Shadows until they've learned every map and they've gotten used to the community and they're sort of involved and they're talking to people, and then they would say that Shadows is one of the best maps of all time. And that just proves how well Shadows has aged, that even today that would happen. Obviously, the community, I've spoken about it so much that new players didn't like Shadows, new players still don't like Shadows. So, I'm not going to keep on bashing it over the head, but the community, like, genuinely loves Shadows. The amount of Discord servers that I'm on where the LFGs get put up and I get told how intricate Shadows is and how many people want to run it is astronomical in comparison to the other maps. The only maps that get more are maybe DE and Origins, but no other map gets requested more than Shadows. It's probably about equal with Origins. Honestly, Shadows is the perfect map. It has the difficulty originally and then an amazing set of learnability. It's so easy to learn and it's all available. You can learn it without watching a guide. Like the Easter egg, maybe you need to watch a guide because it is a bit weird the way that you like start the Easter egg. But Pack-a-Punch is very easy. It's very learnable. Beast mode is very learnable. It's easier to watch a guide. But honestly, I cannot see one reason why Shadows won't be the best map. Or sorry, not the best map. The most improved map of all time. The community loves this map now. And I'm going to stop saying it because it is so good. So let's get these final thoughts out, just because I've been rattling on for about half an hour. Shadows, brilliant map. It was back then, it still is now. Community did not like it back then. That's no secret, it's a complex map, fair enough. I'm not annoyed, no one's annoyed that Shadows wasn't loved back then. No map really is, no map launches at the top of the charts. However, this deep dive hopefully has allowed you to think about the way that Shadows works. And just how insightful Shadows is. Because Shadows is not a simple map that you can just play and have a good time and then leave. If you are even the slightest bit interested in the community and how to sort of get more involved, learn Shadows and learn Origins. Those are the only two maps you have to learn, and then the community will carry you the rest of the way for Zetsubou, Horizon Drag, whatever. But Shadows is such an important map in Zombies. It's the second map in, as the Smith players called it, the perfect quintet, which was Origin, Shadows, Horizon Drag, Zetsubou, and Gorod. Those 5 maps are the best maps that Treyarch has ever produced. And Shadows, refining what Origins introduced, just made it so good to be a part of that story. And I'm really disappointed that I missed it, because I would have loved to been a part of the Easter egg hunt, you know, just the community at the time was just banging, basically. Like, the community at the time was such a good place to be. Lex was, like, Z-House was still around, so that's just perfect. But yeah, that's all me. I hope that you've enjoyed the video. If you did, please be sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe, do whatever you want. I'm not going to beg you. But I do like to hear your thoughts. They make me think about the way that I've made this video and the words that I've used. I really enjoy hearing feedback, and I really enjoy hearing your opinions. So at any point, if you feel like you should leave a comment, please do. See you later, boys.